Hi everyone, this is a new webinar. We are ALA Australia. Our mission, well, this is a group of Latin American female architects helping each other as we transition into the Australian architectural workforce and continue our professional development in Australia. So this is not just for people starting, it's like throughout our careers. We enable this by providing a safe space to be supported and participating in groups activities to provide inspiration, networking opportunities, and to build our community. You can now join us from 7 cities in Australia: Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane and Gold Coast, and Hobart. Here is a sample of our local outings. We have been going to exhibitions, networking activities organized by other associations and groups, and yeah, picnics, different kind of things, and trying to connect in a deeper way. So yeah, now. This is a different kind of a webinar because it's not with public. It is a recorded webinar, and this time it is about architecture and construction roles. We all know, or if you don't know, now you will know, that the title of architect is protected by law in Australia. Only people registered in each state and territory, architects registration boards, may use this title. If you refer yourself as an architect, penalties can apply, not only to individuals, but also corporations and firms. Yeah, so that's a bit frustrating, but while you can't represent yourself as an architect, you can still apply for jobs advertised for architects. You just can't call yourself an architect. You can still pursue a career in Australia. 6 members of the ALA Australia team will now discuss their professional experiences and provide a reality check on this subject. So we have here Cynthia. She's in Gold Coast, and she's a drafter at a manufacturing company. Fair, she's an hydraulic designer at an engineering consultancy firm in Canberra. Mari, she is a project technician at a large international architectural practice, and she's in Adelaide. Kathy, she's a building documenter at a small architectural firm in Brisbane. Lily, she's also in Adelaide as a BIM architectural technician at a large architecture firm. And Cami, she's a graduate of architecture at a small architectural firm. So we have like a wide range of experiences. So question number 1. How long did it take you to find your first professional job in Australia, and how did you find it, Lily? You are on mute.
Sorry, let's start with this one. Well, my journey in Australia started 7 years ago. I arrived here, it looks like a long time ago. We didn't have a lot of information as we have today. And I had a lot of rejections at the very beginning. A lot of people said no to me. So it took me 2 years to find a job, but these 2 years weren't consistent. I wasn't looking for a job during the whole time, a job in the profession. Because of that, every time somebody told me no, because of your visa or because of your current situation, because you don't have experience in Australia, or you're not registered, or you won't be ever get the chance to get a job in the profession, I will stop looking. And this is why it took me so long to actually get the first opportunity, because as soon as I put in my head, like, look, I'm losing the track in here, let's look for a real job, a professional job, I got it 1 month after. So it actually a lot of people you'll find a lot of people discouraging yourself to actually go through that job, and yeah, don't let them stop you.
So there was a lot of negativity,
Yes,
and
yes.
maybe there's still some.
I think there is still a lot of misinformation around, and you get lost. But what happened at that moment is that we didn't have a group like this one, where you can find other people's experience, or you couldn't ask anybody like you couldn't find a positive experience. Everyone was telling you, no, you don't have experience in Australia, so you won't get able to get a job here. So how can I get it? Somebody needs to give me the experience. And yeah. And how did I get it? I was through SICK. I applied to everything that was possible in there. When I put my mind on this, and I put my mind that, okay, I need to find a job in the industry, I applied to everything that was in there. Like, it didn't matter if it was full-time, part-time, if they needed experience in Australia or not, if I had to know about Australian standards or not. Because another thing is that sometimes you go through the list and you say, I don't know about this, and you don't apply for the job. And well, but I didn't care at that moment. And yeah, I applied to all of them. And yeah, I got a call from that. And 1 month after, I was already working. So actually, yeah,
So
it's all in your mind, a positive mind.
So I'm guessing that you apply for, I don't know, hundreds of offers.
Yes.
What was that was the company that hired you was the first call, or?
No. Well, I don't remember exactly, but it was one of the few calls, because you apply for a lot.
So you
And
got
of
a lot of
course,
no's before you
a
got.
lot of no's or a lot of non-answers.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Sounds
This
like a known story.
yes. But this one, I got a reply back. And what this is another interesting thing. This one, I got a reply back asking me about my visa situation and which were my working conditions. And I said, okay, I'm on a student visa, so I can work part-time. And they replied me back saying, unfortunately, this is a full-time position. So I kept insisting. I said, okay, but I can do a part-time job. I produce as much as possible during 20 hours, or I can do an internship or something. I mean, legally wise. I keep insisting, giving another choices to the company, and they said, no, sorry, we don't do that, we don't do that. But I kept insisting. And a few days later, the one who was my boss after, he called me and said, look, we're going to give you an interview because we couldn't find a person for a full-time position in here. So there is another girl in the same situation as you. So we're going to hire 2 part-timers. And this is what they did. They hired 2 part-timers. So that's why I keep saying to everyone, if it says full-time and you don't have full-time rights, apply anyway, and you'll find a way.
Yeah, the worst thing that they can say is no. And then you keep insisting.
Yes.
You don't accept that no. So yeah, is there anyone else having a different experience with their first job? How did you find your first job?
Yeah, for me it was I was quite lucky, but so I'm just gonna sum it up very quickly. Basically, I got my first job through networking. So I was studying, and then one of my close classmates, once the semester was finished, she told me she was working in a small studio and they were looking for an interior documenter. And if I was interested in that position, she would suggest me for that one, and she would recommend me for that one. And actually, I was not expecting it at all, but yeah, of course, I didn't doubt it, and I took that opportunity. So this is, I tell my story to highlight how important is networking. And guys, say to everyone, even if they are not in the industry, tell them that you are looking for a job. I will just tell like a small story as well. I contact IT engineer to help me to do some stuff on my computer. And after like 2 months after, he sent me a message telling me that he met an architect and he was looking for someone, and he remembered that I told him that I was studying architecture and that I was looking for a job. So you never know who can give you that opportunity. So just say to everyone, I'm looking for this opportunity, and then yeah, maybe it's just the opportunity comes to you as well. So yeah, that was my experience networking.
Yeah, very important.
It's true. My first job as well was like that. You told everyone, I am architect, I am looking what kind of job. So they know each other's in the medium, like I am looking a documenter, I am looking somebody that helped me with my ideas to plus in the Revit, to plus in AutoCAD. So yes, if you say I am knowledge 20% of Revit or something like that, you found opportunities very easy, as well AutoCAD. So for me, it was the same. I told in the building that I was working, the security guy, I said, I'm architect, I know Revit, I know that. I have a friend that he have a small company and he's looking somebody, so he throw the connections, and here I am in my job. But yes, it's the connections, and the networking is very important. So don't be shy for you are doing another kind of jobs just for live here, for study here, for sustain, or for pay your rent, for pay everyone. Nobody is less than nobody, so you can do it. You can say any person that you found. You never know who is listening. You never know who is, I know somebody. And now the ouch of the things for be architect or something related with the construction is good in Australia. They need us. So it's our best opportunity.
Yeah, there is something important there. You can say that you are an architect, but you have to add I'm a Chilean architect, I'm a Colombian architect, because that's when you can be breaching the law, when you say I'm an architect, full stop, meaning I'm an architect here in Australia, here in this state. But yeah, it is very important that they, like, no matter the job you're doing, you can be meeting your next boss, or the best friend of the next boss, or the wife of the next boss. So that's why we insist a lot in networking. Thank you for sharing your story. Is there someone else who would like to share?
I would like to add something. My experience was pretty similar, but the industry wasn't architecture. I'm working in engineering, that is similar, and with my skills and my drafting skills, I was able to apply for this position. I did an internship first, so I did a couple of months as an internship, it was just to try, or just to, I don't know, be in the industry, and I got the job. So it was through a contact too. So a friend recommended me, but I offer, because they were not looking for a person at that point, so I offer an internship, and it was pretty good. So that's another way to get a job too.
Yeah, that's a good way to get a job when you don't have a local experience. So I also got a job through an internship, and I think Mariana, she also had a job through an internship. Can you tell us how you got that internship?
Yes, actually, I arrived just last year, and after that, I met Arla, and like I started to come to the meetings. And recently this year, I went to a picnic, and then I found like a Mexican girl that she was like working in a company here in Adelaide, and she was like telling me like you can apply for an internship. And every time I met her, she said the same to me. and I was so stubborn. I didn't want to go for an internship. So then she was looking for someone to her office, and I applied and I got like the internship. And then after 1 month, the boss really liked my job and he asked me for a contract. So it was really good for me.
Very nice. And it's it is interesting how we are the one stopping us from getting that first opportunity. People telling you, "Oh, you should do this," and then we just don't do it. It is incredible that we are our worst enemies in
Yeah,
this.
always.
But yeah, very, very nice story. I know that Cynthia also has a good story.
To me, I'm gonna say it take me 3 years from when I arrived to Australia, but also a month and a half when I really prepared myself and all my documents. I mean, like when I start, I come with all my information from Ecuador, but I was not having any idea how to apply here because I was coming from with my idea from South America. So I asked for feedbacks. I met Arla, and they helped me with some accessories with my resume, my networking, my LinkedIn, and everything. And then with these feedbacks and all this information, what I did also, it was watching all the videos of Arla. I improved my portfolio, and then I just go there to 2 or 3 companies. And I was very sure and confident by myself. That's really important because, as we talked about this before, we are the person that we put the limit to ourselves. So I was a little bit shy about my English. I was a little bit shy about like, oh, I don't have the rights. And at the moment, I was not full time. I was zero experience in Australia, and I was like very uncomfortable with my I don't know, my knowledge and everything. So then I just decide to, okay, I'm gonna manifest this, and I'm gonna do this, and that. Prepare myself, go, and just literally when I went to this place, I just asked to them like, hey, I'm available for this position. I know to do this, and that, and they say me, yeah, thank you. See you. I don't know. See you again. We are gonna call you. And I say to them, listen, I'm here. I want to show you that I really know what I'm talking about. I know this program. I'm here. I want you to make me a test. Show me where is the computer and what I can do. I'm gonna show you everything. And they were like, this is not the best moment. I said, I can wait. I can be all day here. And then because I was too sure about this, they said me, yeah, okay, let's do it. And let's try it now. And I did 5 minutes of AutoCAD, and then they say me, oh, we are gonna call you because we have a few more people coming with this, and they are Australians and these kind of things. But at the end, they call me and they say, oh, you're still available. We really like you. We really like how you come here, and like I'm almost forcing them to give me the job. So yeah, I just say just don't give up.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I've heard a few stories about like insisting in the same company, and yeah, that gets good results. Well, we are moving on to the next question. So, let's say that it's going to be like a faster, quicker kind of answer. What's your current role and what are your main duties? Let's start with Isis.
All right. My job was building documentation. I am working for a small company. My main duties is having meetings with the manager. He just draw in a paper what he was talking with the customers because we are building houses with disability accommodation. So I have 2 Bibles that they are my Bibles for designing. I need to check all the time that This is one that is the designing for access and mobility. The rules here are very important. So when I start to the company, they give me this and tell me this is your Bible. And you learn too many things here and about disability, about everything. So everything that he draw, just like a simple draw, you check all the units, you check everything down. So this is one of my duties, draw in Revit. I use Revit most of the time. And with the time, with the evolution of the project, they give you the materials. So you need to do the renders, you need to do the presentations, to the documentation with all the package that they're gonna present to the to responsible to approve or disapprove the project. So yes, this is my my duties in my job. Sometimes I need to take the phone. That is well, for me, it's not that scary because I yes, I am talking most of the time in English because my partner, our communication is in English. But yes, understand the accent for Australians is complicated. And they have a beautiful word that you say, pardon, pardon, pardon. So when you don't understand nothing, you just say pardon, and they repeat after you. And when really is very complicated, really don't feel shy to say, can you speak slowly because my communication stay bad or the signal stay bad? And they repeat because they need that you need clearance for that they speak to you. So yes, don't feel shy for say again, pardon, or can you repeat? It's normal. Even between them, they don't understand each other. So don't be shy and asking again, can you repeat again? So yes, that is very important. And this is my experience. And support here in Australia, everything is rules. Since I started in that company and they give me these two books, to follow the rules. Everything stay in that books. Everything stay in the normative, in the standards of Australia. Nothing is embedded like in our countries. I know the master do this, do this, do this. No, here is not like that. Everything have a standard. Everything have a rule. So just follow the rules. You don't need to invent nothing.
Yeah, that's true. There is a very little space for creativity there.
Yes.
Mariana?
Yeah, as easy, I also work in a company that specializes in like disabled people in aged care. So I also have to review these standards. And as Izzy says, it's really easy because they have everything there. Every like measure, everything they have it in there. So my job title is project technician, and my duties are those. Like my boss have some meetings and they draw something like by hand, and then I have to put it in Revit and like make also images for the clients, or maybe assist in the development of presentation or design boards.
So here we have an example of how two different companies name a very similar role in a different way. On one side, we have a building documenter or building documentation, and then for the other side, we have project technician. So all of these names are to avoid the word architect or graduate of architecture, because a lot of companies use graduate of architecture as a role, and that's not really a role, but it also can show that is for an entry level. When you say graduate, you link with entry level, and sometimes you have experienced graduate or architecture. So I think that's why companies try to be creative with the names, so they don't get in trouble with each other's boards. Okay, so let's continue with Bev.
Well, as I said before, I don't work in architecture. I work more in coordination, like other services. So I started as a drafter like 3 years ago. Now I'm a designer there, so I design all the pipes, all the fire pipes, water, drainage, stormwater. And my role there and my duties are to coordinate with other services too. So if we have a clash, even if it's in Revit or like the design is in AutoCAD, we have to see or to check that all the services are going, like they are not clashing with each other. And also, as Isi said, I have to answer the phone, but with planners. That is like a next level, because sometimes they have like strong accents. And at the beginning was like horrible. It was horrible, not for them, but just because I was so nervous. And I did realize that, yeah, as you said, like you say a couple of times pardon at the beginning and then you get used to. So it's not something for people, I don't know, like people with very high English levels. Yes, at some point, but you get used to. So
And maybe the other person also had English as a second language.
Yeah. Or people from another countries that, they speak English, and yeah, it was hard at the beginning, but then you get used to and you do it. So yeah, as I was saying, you don't need to work in architecture with your skills. You can work like in other industries, and that's completely okay. It's related, it's not the same, but it's completely fine.
Yeah, and that also wider our alternatives. You can apply for other jobs. Yeah, and maybe that can be the start. Like as I think we have talked about this before. If you then want to move to architecture, then you have a background where you know where the pipes are, and then you don't have the conflict that probably we all make those mistakes where we place things where we shouldn't. So I think you have a great advantage when you are ready to do the next step and move to architecture.
Yeah, probably now I'm more conscious about the pipe words and whatever is.
Yeah, even like in my case, I did cleaning, and now I'm very careful designing things that, oh, okay, so who is going to clean that window? So I think everything can add into your next step.
Yeah.
All right, so next one. We have Lily.
Yes, I'm working in a large architecture firm, in Australian architecture firm, and I'm an architectural technician. As Isis and Mari, I'm almost doing documentation in Revit. My major duties are that documenting in Revit, mostly the design development, tender, and issue for construction process. So actually making the building ready to be built. So yeah, I have to go through the NCC. And so this is a national construction code and the Australian standards a lot. And I still don't know many of them. The main important thing is to know where is the information to look at. And you don't need to know by memory everything, because nobody does. And yeah, this is one of the major duties. And as I'm part of the BIM department in the company, other duties are like doing all the system support for the whole company, setting up templates in Revit, setting up families, and setting up the new models to start with, because this is a small department, so we are not the only ones doing the documentations, because all the other graduates and people who works in the actual design area of the company, they also do documentation. But we support them with all the Revit standards for the company. And yeah, this is, I don't speak too much on the phone. I'm lucky with that because I feel really nervous as well. But yeah, one thing that the girls were talking about, about English as a second language, and you'll find that most of the people you work with, as you said, they speak English as a second language as well. So you don't need to worry about that. There is always people with patience, and even those who are native speakers, they have patience because Australia is a very multicultural country, so you'll find a lot of accents and a lot of different English levels. So it's very comfortable to work with in the industry.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a very interesting position as well, where you are working for construction, where I believe it is a very, very stressing and like always under the pump kind of a job, but also doing all the standards for the office. So yeah, sounds like a great position.
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah. And also, as you do all the standards for the office, the good thing is that there is a point that, not at the very beginning, but now I'm in a point that everyone reaches for you if they have a question. Everyone reaches you for a question, a rabbit question, important or silly. And what I feel so afraid always is when somebody comes with a question, I hope I can answer this. Like from my private knowledge, because I don't know everything also. And it's like, oh my God. But I always able to answer. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay as well. Like, you don't need to know
that's what I was.
everything.
Exactly. I was going to say that. You
But
you
we
might
put
be an
ourselves
expert.
in that.
You can
Yeah,
still be
we
an
put
expert and
ourselves.
don't know anything, everything about it.
That's it. But we put ourselves in that position that we need to know. And if we don't know it, they're gonna think I'm dumb, and they're gonna think not valuable for this job.
And then you realize that they don't think anything. They don't think anything about that. So yeah.
Because if they are asking you, it's because they don't know it either.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of YouTube videos.
Yes, sure.
They could have done their own research before reaching you.
For everything.
Well, anyway, we got Cynthia left and Cami.
Yeah, so for me, it's at the moment I'm working in aluminum technical drafter and commercial jobs. That's my title of job. So because the company is small, medium, I also follow up the commercial jobs, like doing a little bit of admin because we have to learn to do absolutely everything. When I just started, it was just drafting. Now I do a little bit more, follow up the commercial jobs, sending email, calling the clients, and check if the roles are having the expectation of the clients and everything. But yeah, I reckon can be a little bit hard to answer the questions. The phone has always, we say, like we feel a little bit shy of that about our English or that, but at the same time I find that they are really, really nice with people with a second language. Most of them, they think they are really proud of us because we speak two languages. So my boss always asks me when someone more goes and speaks Spanish, if you can help me with this and that. So at one point you're gonna be more than just a drafter. So I don't know. I think it's really good to start here and don't feel like because you don't speak perfect English, you are gonna feel, I don't know, like you don't fit here.
Yeah, and also a lot of people is very comfortable being a drafter because even I've mentioned before that sometimes they are even better paid than a graduate or a designer. So yeah, it is also good to know that not because your role description says these are your duties that you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. Like you can also find your own path and ask for more like for more responsibilities or doing different things, and even like having experience in admin is really, really important. So then you start learning how to run the business, and maybe in the future you can run your own.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe not, because you know the admin, so then you don't want to stay like...
You know that it can be very frustrating and you can have a lot of stress with these kind of things, but help you to understand. Sometimes you meet something as a drafter because we can see it, how like plan view, elevation, section, but admin they doesn't know how to read a plan. So we just send information and we think that they know. So when you are in the admin section, you know, like, oh, they are struggling with this kind of information because maybe I was not too clear, because for me it's so easy to see this, and not for everyone. If the admin didn't see it, probably the client's not gonna do it too, you know? So help you to improve a little bit more of that and showing the things easier.
Yeah. So now we got Tammy left.
Yes, so I work as a graduate of architecture in a small firm. We got a wide range of projects, but mostly multi-residential and high-end residential. So basically my duties are preparing documentation sets for planning permits, construction sets for building permits, and I'm also in charge of coordinating with the services engineer, structural engineer, ESD, everyone, all the consultants that are involved. And yeah, ideally after, a couple of years, they would let you start working in the contract admin. That's like another word, but very important to learn as well. And at the moment I'm working with ArchiCAD. So it's also a 3D software. Yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah, so it's not all about Revit then.
Yeah, exactly. There are more, but I believe Revit now it's I don't know what the percentage, but it seems like it's getting stronger here in Australia.
Yeah.
But still there's ArchiCAD, there still is AutoCAD. I know some offices use Vectorworks. So
MicroStation.
yeah. Exactly.
Well, let's move on to the next question. And I think that's also something that we were talking before about answering the phone and understanding other people. What was your English level when you started your first job in Australia, of course? And how did you manage working in a second language? So this one, we will go with Mariana, who recently started her position.
Yeah, so I consider myself that I have a proficient English, but sometimes I struggle. Like sometimes I really like fluent, and sometimes I struggle a lot. There are like new vocabulary that I don't know, and I'm learning every day. So my boss is the only Australian guy in the office, and he's so kind. He always is like teaching us new words or some vocabulary that the Australians use, but we really don't have idea what that means. So yeah, it's like it's easy because I have an advantage that two of my colleagues are Spanish speakers. So if I don't understand something, they can explain me, or we are like half of the time speaking Spanish, and we are trying to teach like the other guy that is in the office. He's from India, so we are trying to teach him Spanish. But yeah, he is also so patient with us because he understands that this is not our like first like main language. So yeah, like I don't think that you are like afraid to speak in English because everyone is going to understand that you are learning, and it doesn't like it's related with your knowledge. It is just like a communication thing.
Yeah, it sounds good. You were doing a work and holiday visa before. You didn't study English here?
Yeah, I came with an English like course, and I graduate like in one of the levels that are like at the end. But
Advanced?
yeah, in advance. So sometimes it's like your brain is in Spanish, or sometimes your brain is in English, but
Yeah, and sometimes you go to a advanced level courses, and then you go to the real world, and then you say, oh, I'm not really advanced.
totally, because for example, in the English course, I speak in English every day, but then when I finish, I like my boyfriend is from Colombia, so I speak in Spanish every day. My family is from Colombia. The people who I live is from Colombia, so I don't have like these spaces to practice my English, but at the office, I practice a lot.
Mhm. So who's next?
Yeah, I had a similar situation. So I thought that, well, I was in an advanced course in English, and I tried to make just English speakers friends, because I was trying to practice more. So I had, I have a friend from Japan, another one from Italy, and we tried to do all the time English conversations. But then I got into the job and I realized that I didn't know anything. And it was funny, but well, at that time it was hard because I remember headaches and headaches like after working, and it was like it was exhausting at that time. But then you learn. It's not like you're gonna be at that stage all your life. It's like, okay, you are gonna have an accent that is completely okay, like everyone almost in here. But then you start building and building up the your skills, and then you have like a normal conversation or normal yeah, chats with friends, and then you realize that at some point you are more bilingual than before. But yeah, I think it's something that you build.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it is a face it until you make it.
Exactly.
So let's go with Cynthia.
I will go say that it's opposite for me. So I live with Australians. I work just with Australians. So my environment is almost everything in English. Just on Saturday that I speak with my family vernacular. It is the time that I speak Spanish. So in terms, to be a little bit more specific of this, in terms of tests, I did my academic IELTS test last, I think 2 years ago, yeah. And I did 6.5 overall, 7 in speaking, and okay, like the other ones, it was a little bit different. So something in the middle. I will gonna say that I don't feel that I have a proficient English, but I do my best, and because I work with Australians, and we have a few of Chilean guys that they really don't speak absolutely any English at all, but they are not draftees. They are not in the ANMI section. They are more on the they're tradies. So this is helping me too, because all the other ones are Australians, so I have to translate the things, and it's helping me to improve my English. So I will gonna say that go for it, just try it. These guys, I know it's different because they're tradies, but even with that, you can do it. They have zero English, so I translate absolutely everything. So don't be shy if you don't have a perfect English.
Yeah, that's good. And I think I believe that teaching is also another way of learning, because
Yeah,
you put that in
absolutely.
practice and you
It's
process
helping
the
me
information.
to swipe my brain from Spanish to English very quick. Before I was having this give me 5 minutes or 10 to change my brain to English or to Spanish. Now I can do it like, okay, he said this, and then they're coming with words in Spanish to me, like they say almuercito time or things like that. So it's really funny because they want to learn Spanish too.
Yeah, that's I've been in a few offices where we have these multicultural teams, and then we start saying good morning in every language that everyone has. So it's creating like, and then start creating that culture in the office that goes like beyond the English. And I think it is nice.
Yeah, and also helps to break the ice, you know. So they always say gracias.
Yeah, yeah. So Cami.
So my experience, yeah, similar to all what the girls said before. So I believed I had a good English till I started working. But something that really helped me was to go through the plans and start reading all the different codes they use and all the notes they had in there. And then because one thing is to know like the normal English, the daily English that we use, and the other challenge we have to face is the English in architecture. So that was something that helped me. I was just taking the time to see what is he saying here and go and translate it. If I was not understanding, I was asking someone else. And then another one was, and I believe this is an advantage somehow, and is when I was not understanding what I had to do, I was going and ask them, sorry, can you just draw it for me? Because sometimes there are some details they tell you, oh no, just draw this, blah, blah, blah. And then you are like, okay, and what I'm supposed to do, you know? So I was like, sorry, can you just make a quick sketch? And then okay, then you go and I don't know, research in the server of your own office or something, and then you get an idea. So yeah, just don't be scared to, you will find different ways to try to understand what's going on. And I feel like our brain is like expanding, you know, like giving its 100%. So that was another strategy I used. And also sometimes, as everyone said before, talking over the phone is one of the scariest thing to do. And so what I was doing was, before making the call, I was writing everything, but like even like, hi, my name is, you know. So when the time, when I was doing the call, I was a bit prepared for it. It was, you know, and I was making sure I was going to be direct and straightforward, because that's what people likes here, you know, like I call you for this, this, and this. And then sometimes if I was still a bit confused and I didn't want to, you know, call again, because I know people are busy, I was just double checking on an email. Hi, regarding our conversation, this, and this. So you will find many different ways. You don't need to have a perfect English, you know, to work in the field. You will improve eventually. And there are like many different ways to make sure you are understanding what they want you to do.
Those are great tips. We all believe that we are the only ones. I also struggle with everything you said, and I think a very important thing to understand as well is that when they hire us, they know that we don't know everything. So otherwise we will be hired as a director or an associate or something, you know, more skilled and knowledgeable. But they are responsible for our job. So you can try, but then they always have to check before the drawings go out. So I think that's another thing, that obviously you want to do your best, so then you don't get corrected like 100 times. But you try your best, but then they always have to check that before, so you will get that amended, reviewed. So I think that's another thing that can lower the stress of, oh, I need to perform 100%. I need to know every word of what they say. I keep spelling lounge in the wrong way. I keep doing it after 10 years. I still spell it wrong. So yeah, I think those are great tips, Cami.
Another tip that I do when I don't understand.
But you didn't respond. What was your level?
Which was my level? Okay, my level I think was pretty good, but I have to say I studied English since I was 8 back at home. But even that, when I came to Australia, I thought that I had a really good knowledge of English, and then I realized that I had just a very basic, like, where is the pencil, and that's it. And with many accents and slangs, and you face the word, and it's completely different. So as the girl said, so one thing that helped me a lot was working. These 2 years that I spent without working in the professional field, it was very helpful because I work in hospitality, and to improve my English skills, specifically listening and speaking, was really helpful. So sometimes even if you don't work, as is said before, if you don't work in the same field, like it's always a learning process that something will help you in the future. But yeah, when I started my first job, I think my English was pretty good in terms of communication. But it was a facade. That one was a facade subcontractor, and I never worked in the facade before back at home. So there were words that I didn't even know the translation. I didn't know what was. And if I had to say these words in Spanish now, I wouldn't know. So it's the opposite way. And but one tip that helped me a lot when I don't understand what they're trying to say to me, like the instructions, I said, "Are you telling me this and this? Are you telling me that you want this membrane in here? Are you telling me that you want this roof going this way?" And I show it and I draw it, and it's similar to what Cami was saying, like, but in a different way as well. And it's just making sure that what you're understanding is correct. And sometimes I say, yes, this is what I want. But sometimes I say, no, I want the roof going this way. And it's, yeah, as all the other girls said, don't feel shy to ask again, because yeah.
That's also pretty good, like double checking if what they say is, I mean, I think it is good, and you can do that over the phone as well.
Yeah, as well.
Not just in person.
And one very good, let's say, piece of advice that I've been given in this current job that I got is that they always tell me there is no silly questions. Don't be afraid to ask. It's better if you ask and do things right than assuming things, and then we are losing time because you need to do the things twice or 3 times. So there are no silly questions. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, it is quicker just answering the question. I think it's also important that to not ask the same question over and over. It's like I always carry a notebook where I could just go and take the notes and then refer to that instead of asking the question again, because asking questions is also taking some of their time that they might be like flogged with work, and then you are asking questions every 15 minutes. So then you realize that when you become a senior, that you are the one bombarded by the junior like questions all day, and then you get distracted, and then you can't get your job done. So I think it's also good to be mindful of the time of that other person that is trying to give you some guidance. So yeah,
that's good.
Sorry.
No, another tip that I want to say is sometimes when I am like participating in meetings and I have to take notes, if I don't understand something, I write it as it comes. Like, doesn't matter if I am not writing the right words, because I didn't understand it, but I wrote something that sounds similar, and then like I have the note and I said like, please confirm. And when I asked my boss about it, it's like, it's something that sounded like this, but I'm sure that it's exactly that. And he said, no, it's okay. It's this other word, but it's something that you check and you didn't miss. Like,
yeah,
it's very important.
And it's also good to ask the spelling. I think that's something that we were all taught in the English schools. Oh, what's the spelling of this? And then, when obviously there is just one word that you don't understand, they won't spell like a full paragraph. But yeah, I think that's good.
Another tip that I wanted to say is about the tools that are in internet. So I know that ChatGPT is not the only one and it's not the best, but if you need to write an email with something, you can write it and rewrite it again, trying to be more formal, less formal, something like that, or grammarly. Like, I don't want to say brands. Just there are tools in internet that can help you with those things, because, for example, an article or something that says in and it should be on, like little words that can make your email be better. I always use them. Like, I get used to with the time to write the things in the right way, but sometimes you need them because it's better. Like, you look like a more professional person when you write an email that is completely right, and they are not like seeing those little mistakes that you could prevent with a tool like that.
Yeah, and also if that article or whatever you are like using in a wrong way might be changing the meaning of the whole email, and that's something that it get recorded, so the client can go back and say, oh, Fernanda did this or say that on an email. I think a very good tip that I got ages ago was always referring, like, we did this, we decided that, instead of saying I did this, because then you release some of that responsibility that obviously it wasn't you making the decision, it was your boss. But we in Spanish, we tend to write in first person. So I think always remembering that third person, it is the best for things that are going to be recorded, like emails. But yeah, it is good to also know that we have now technology that can help us to improve those emails. Sometimes I believe that I want to say something, but I don't know if you have noticed, but in English, like, it seems that people is more sensitive, so they get offended with the way that you can say something that for you is completely normal because that's how you learn in English school. But then, yeah, you can tone it down, you can make it more polite, you can make it like more relaxed using all these artificial intelligence tools.
And don't be afraid also to check with someone else. Like, at the beginning, my emails were like very rude. I didn't know, because of course, like, it's something that I was saying, can you give me this? And then I realized that you have to say, like, could you please give me this or provide this plan, whatever. And I didn't realize that the can you or could you please, it was completely different for them. For me, like, in my English level was completely normal. But then at the beginning, I gave my emails to someone else to check them. And I realized that those little things are very important for emails.
Yeah, so, yeah. If you have someone with a better English level or just a native speakers that they can notice more those subtle differences, I think it's good. I used to do the same, annoying my coworker. Oh, can you please check this email that I will go out to the client? So yeah, I think it's good. It's good. Well, we got very good advice out of this. So let's move on to the next question. And I think we have already spoken of some of the challenges, but what has been your most challenging experience at work and how did you manage to overcome it? So this question, Fernanda.
Me again. Well, I wanted to talk about, like, the difference in the culture that we have. Part of it is the language, that more than the challenges that we face for the differences, or like the language. In general, there are some words, or there are some ways to express the things that are completely different. Or, for example, the word frustration in English is something like for nothing. Like, everything can be frustrating. And in Spanish, or at least in my Chilean language. Frustration is a very hard word. So it's a cultural thing. The word maybe means the same, but for me, frustration, when a boss told me that it was frustrated for something, for me was like a very offensive thing. And for him, it was nothing. So it is only a cultural thing that it's the same word, but it means something different in both languages. And I think that maybe like understanding that we are in a multicultural environment, that they have to understand the way that I do the things and I do it in the other way. It's something that you you learn from other cultures, how they are, how they express themselves. And yeah, I think it's a very good experience, or it's something that I didn't have before being an architect in Chile years ago. And I think it's a cultural thing, like different social skills that like with time you get used to, and you get you try to find a way to have a relationship with all your coworkers.
Yeah, language is a complex thing, especially with feelings, I guess. I mean, I'm also Chilean, and we always say the word anxious as looking forward to something. Oh, I'm very anxious. So yeah, my birthday is coming. I'm very anxious. And here is like, no, like anxious is something really bad. So like they send you to the psychologist, and you are just trying to say that you are excited and looking forward to something. So yeah, I think it's good to understand those differences in meaning. Like the direct translation might mean something different, because in like probably if I ask someone from Colombia or Uruguay, like probably anxious will mean anxious the same as in Australia, but we Chileans use anxious in a different way. So I think you got a very good point that especially with feelings, we should be double checking the actual meaning before getting offended or getting frustrated or getting, overwhelmed because, oh, my boss said that he was frustrated, and then you believe, oh my God, I need to quit because he was frustrated, and then you realize that, yeah, the next minute he's not frustrated. It's gone. So yeah, good point. So let's continue. So, okay, Mariana.
As Fernanda says, for me, the most challenging experience at work was working with my boss, because he's still the boss. So I was so nervous to work with him, because at the beginning I was working with like my colleagues, and as I said, one of these colleagues is a Spanish speaker, so I was so comfortable with her. But the first time that I have to work with my boss, I was so nervous. I was paying a lot of attention. I was like, I cannot miss anything, because I don't want to make a mistake or anything. But until now, nothing happens. I double check everything. Sometimes I think that he thought that I'm not like very smart, because I'm like, oh, so you say this and this and this? Okay. And you say this and this. And he's like, yes, I said. But he is so kind. He always explains everything. And sometimes I ask for extra sketches so I can make like the work as per standards.
And do you believe that the relationship between your boss and you as an employee, or you in my case, the relationship was like more like distant. You will refer your boss not like with the surname or Mr. someone, whereas here you just call by the nickname, and maybe that is just like the beginning of, okay, you can work with your boss, and it's not different to working with any other coworker, because the relationship is more relaxed than what we used to have it in our home countries.
Yes, for example, as you said before, I work in a big company, and this is an international company, but the office here in Adelaide, it is just 5 people. So like the relationship between the boss and like the guys that are working for him is so close, because he's always like working with us. And yeah, in Colombia, even if you just work with your boss, you always feel like this distant relationship. In here, I think that Australians are like so relaxed with that, and they are like so close with you and talk as they are just colleagues.
Yeah, I believe that that's the case. Thank you for sharing your experience. So don't be afraid of working directly to you with your boss. That's the lesson here. So Lily.
Yes, about that, I have a recent experience with the big boss of the company, the general manager. And I think speaking in English as a second language every day at work is the most challenging thing that we face every day. It's day to day, and also there are days that I feel like I don't want to talk to anybody, just the basics, because I don't feel like speaking in English. But it's just personal, and the other days that you just want to talk to everyone because you feel like. But I recently had an experience at the company. We have a committee that is focused on make the workplace more diverse and inclusive. This is not related to responsibilities or anything. It's more related to the workplace well-being, and I'm part of that committee. And there was a presentation to be done to the big boss to actually approve for a small change. And I volunteered myself to do it. I don't know why I did it, but at the moment I said, I can do it. I was like in a very positive day, and I said, I can do it. But I don't want to do this alone, but I can do it. And then the day that I had to do it, when I rehearsed it many times, and I was always shaking, my voice was shaking. And the day that I had to do it, I was thinking, oh my God, why did I put myself in this position? Like, this is not compulsory. Why did I volunteer myself to do this? And by the time of the presentation, the general manager of the company came into the meeting, and he was really relaxed because this is the way Aussies work. And he said, okay, look, don't be nervous. This is not a thing that I'm going to reject straight away. This is more like a conversation. You're going to show me the position and why do we need to do this and why not. And we're going to talk about this. And these words from him were very relaxing, because at the end I had to actually, at the end I stopped shaking and I could actually talk properly and run through the things. And because the other colleague that was with me doing this she's an Australian, so she didn't. I mean, she was nervous to talking to the boss as well, because it's like natural thing, but not as much as myself because of going through that barrier of speaking in English as a second language. But the boss didn't care. The manager didn't care about my accent or anything. He was understanding what I was saying. It was just myself, like getting, like putting myself like all these barriers that we think that we are not able to, but we are.
We really are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good story. Like it wasn't mandatory, and you raise your hand and you put yourself in the position where, oh my God, what am I doing here? So I think it's good. You were in a good mood when you did that. So yeah.
And then I was afraid, and then I was really afraid. And I actually did it because of that, to challenge myself. It's not because these small things are like small victories for yourself. Like, I could do this. And the only person who actually understands this is somebody who actually speaks English as a second language as well. They'll understand what you're talking about when you say, this is a small challenge and a small victory for myself, being able to run this presentation or being able to answer the phone, and the small things that actually make your day. And yeah, but sometimes we don't do it because it would be much easier for myself to, when somebody asks, oh, we need a volunteer to do this, and it would be much easier for myself to say, oh, I don't feel confident enough, I won't do it, and then keep on doing my job.
And many people who has English as a first language, they don't do presentations neither. So
yes, that's it.
So I think, and I believe that also make you stand out. Maybe they consider you in a different way now that they know that you can express yourself in a meeting and you can show your ideas. So I think it's good that when you get to that point, okay, yeah, I think I can do it now. And if you fail, you fail. Like you just stick to the previous role that you had.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So
you keep on doing your job, and no, that's it. If you fail, you keep on doing your job. Nobody's gonna fire for a small thing, or because you said something with an accent, or you had to repeat yourself with a stupid, silly thing. Or
yeah. Okay, so who's next? Tommy?
Sorry, I was mute.
Mm.
I guess it comes back to what I said a little bit about the previous question. But one of the most challenging experiences for me was dealing with consultants, but especially when we had deadlines and you have to call them and be a bit pushy, like we need this by Friday, you know. You don't want to be, you don't know how to like tell them that we really need this information for this day, but you don't want to be rude to them. And then sometimes they were not getting back to me. And then my boss was like, you need to call them, you need to chase them, you need to, you know, and I was like, this is hard for me because I don't know, I don't want to be rude, you know. So for me, that was quite challenging, like always like, hey, it's me again. How are you doing with that? So, but without always being respectful to everyone, you know, and understanding they are busy as well. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'm the kind of annoying person that's calling every day. How are you doing with that? How are you doing with that? So that was quite challenging for me. But yeah, then you learn what's the right way to say it, and they completely understand because that's how it works. And they understand you are doing it because that's your job.
Did you get any guidance to do that, or you were just told you need to chase them and full stop, and then you had to figure out how to do it?
Yeah, I had to figure out how to do it. Yeah. So I was very, let's say, flexible in the beginning, like, oh, you know, we're just trying to meet this deadline. Could you please? Yeah, sure. But then I was not getting the information required. So my boss was like, you really need to be serious about it, like push them on. Oof. That was hard for me, but you learn how to do it, always being respectful. I would say that was for me the most challenging thing. Yeah, because it doesn't come with my personality to be like this. So it's not just work or second language, it's also personality. I feel I was feeling a bit uncomfortable doing that. But yeah.
It's definitely something that comes with personality, but I think those skills can be developed over time, and maybe some effective communication, sort of learning, or
being very assertive.
Being assertive. I think those things can be learned, so you can still be polite but firm in what you're saying. And also, this is my case, maybe you feel the same. I feel like I don't know them. I haven't seen them in person. So obviously I don't matter. So they get, oh, okay, who is this? No one knows her, sort of thing. So I think also we need to start like putting our name out there, always putting the signature when you send an email or something. So then okay, this is Daniela again. And I believe another tip for that is that when I call them, I repeat their name while I'm talking. So because when you say the name of someone, like, how are you, Matthew, for example, that brings that you have the control of things a little bit more than just, oh, how are you? And then again, oh, okay, so Matt, what can you say about this, you know? So I
But
don't know.
that's a good tip.
Yeah, I feel, and it happens to me in Spanish as well, because I sometimes can get a bit nervous with people I don't know, and then when you see that someone names you, oh, okay, so that brings a little bit okay, there is a more, I think it comes like, it gets the communication a bit closer, like personal. And for me, at least, that works, like that it works a lot, that I can feel more confident. Or when I see that they are calling me, chasing me for something I haven't delivered yet, I go and answer the oh, hi, Chris. And that makes like a lot of difference, I believe, in my experience. So maybe you can put it in practice. So we got Cynthia.
Yeah, so short, long story, answer the phone. But also, how you said, yeah, this kind of cultural things that in the Ecuadorian coast, we speak like very straight away, like no filters, too honest. And I found out that here people is more polite. They don't say everything that they have in their mind. So that can be one of the things. And the other thing is that because we are coming from South America, I don't know if this happened to your countries, but it's happening in Ecuador. Like when you say no, people think that you are not happy with your job, you don't want to have, you are not someone that is taking care of your job and everything. So I've been saying yes to everything because I didn't want to be like, oh no, they are gonna fire me, or they're gonna think that I really don't care about this job and this. But then I learned from there, like they said, if you really don't want it, you don't have to say yes, you know. We understand that you have a personal life, you have other things to do. So we just ask, if someone wants, just do it. If you don't want, it's the same, you know. So
You
I learned to say no.
You
Yeah,
can
polite.
politely reject the offer.
Yeah. So something that happened to me was like, oh, if someone wants to work on Saturday, and everyone was like, no, thank you, no, thank you, and I was like, oh, if I say no, it's gonna be rude, you know. They're gonna think that I really don't care about my job, or I don't know, because they were needing someone to do extra hours, and I said yes, and then I was like, I don't have life, you know. I work from Monday to Saturday, and I have to do my thesis and these kind of things on Sunday, so I totally not doing absolutely anything more. And then one day I went to my boss office and has Australians, so I don't say my boss, I say his name. So I say, oh, you know, I don't know how to say this. It's so uncomfortable to me. I hope that you don't feel like I'm not taking care of my job, or I don't appreciate the opportunity. I've been with a lot of excuse just to say like I don't want to work anymore on Saturday. And he said, you don't have to say all this kind of speech. You just say, I don't want to work anymore on Saturdays. That's it. You know, don't come with all this kind of thing. That I was like, because I was very nervous, like, oh, maybe he's gonna fire me, he's gonna do this and that, and then he's gonna think that I really don't care of this and that. So don't stress about that. At least Australians are very easygoing. So if you say the things very polite, you know, you're not gonna say, hey, I don't want to like go very polite to say like this, and I like to have my personal time, so I don't think that I can do on Saturdays. That's it. You know, don't give all the explanation that they really don't care.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think for everyone who is starting a new job, or even like being in a job for a long time, it's always good to set boundaries. So from, okay, I'm answering the phone after 6 p.m. Okay, this is not right. Or okay, I'm working over the weekends as well. Or I think culturally in general in Australia, they respect a lot your personal life and the life-work balance and all of that. But sometimes it's not the case, so it's not a general rule. And then you are in all your rights to, say, okay, I love my job, but I also love my personal life. So,
Yeah, you need balance. So
yeah.
don't be shy about saying that kind of things. And don't say, if you don't really feel to say yes to everything, don't do it.
And in a lot of jobs, I've noticed that currently bosses are understanding that if you don't have enough rest, if you don't have good mental health, you won't perform in the way that they want. So they can't push you to do 10 hours or 12 hours shift because by the time you hit the 8 hour, you're not paying attention and you can deliver something like with wrong information. So I don't know. I think nowadays it's better, but still some companies over there that are not really understanding that. But it's on us, I think.
Yeah, it's totally
keeping
on
that.
us. In my company, it's like if like some people don't have their break, but I learned like this is my break. I'm not gonna skip my lunch or my coffee time or my coffee break because this. I don't answer the company phone on that time. I said, listen, we can speak about other things. Do you want to know other things? But don't ask me anything on my break. I said, anything related of job, please don't bring it in these 30 minutes.
That's good. It's good. So we got Kathy.
Well, I think so. Is the similar things that than others. Put boundaries with the people that don't call me after 6. My weekends are safe if we don't agree to work. And yes, it's mostly of that. I don't need to reach out the contractors yet, which is good. But yes, probably gonna be a challenging in one point of the life. But yes, the rest is similar that all of us are talking. So is the experience and how we manage ourselves for be confident in ourselves. We do too much in our countries. Most of us working in our countries in Latin America, so we notice how manage. We are women. We deal with too many men. All the time, so we are in an industry that is like a 90% of men. So we already know in our countries how manage that thing. So here is not a big deal as well, a big difference to deal with that things, because 100% of our bosses, they are men, and the partners in the job as well. So is here you can feel a little more safe for that thing, because have a lot of rules to protect us like a women and like our voice in the pitch that is the same important than them. So that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. You were talking and I didn't realize that. Yeah, I haven't had any female boss in my entire career. So yeah, that's shocking. So
shocking. So well, we notice, we know, when my experience back home, I have one time a boss women. The rest of the times there are men, and the communication is more easy. They don't think too much. They they don't put too much philosophy like us, too much emotions, too much things. So sometimes it's easy, and we put the spicy, like, hi, what happened if I did do this? What happened? No, it's simple. It's sometimes try to deal with ourselves like a girl and boy, where we have both of things in our minds, in our body, in our composition. So is job, that's it. So is thing, and you are not indispensable. This is another thing that Australia learned, made me to learn a lot. So if you don't do, I have another person that don't gonna do. So don't get your life in that kind of jobs. If it's not one job, gonna be another job. Don't gonna be the end of the life. If I had the opportunity before this job to work for engineer Saviors, and they told me you need to homologate your career here to we can offer you a full-time position, a contract, and blah blah blah. So I ran in, okay, I need to do the skill assessment, I need to do this. And in one point they told me, sorry, you are architect, and here we tried the different things. The architects are here, the engineer civils are here, so they are separate. So thank you so much. We're gonna give you the opportunity to find another kind of job in your position. And for me, it was the end of the world, but we learned about that. So well, was the opportunity, was 7 months working with them, was engineer civil. I learned the standards of construction, I learned things. So it's just take the possibility, the possibility things. And in one point, if that is not the job, when one door closed, 100 they are open ahead. So this is good, important. And I think is the more challenging that I have was that time. I feel like my life finito. I don't gonna look in more jobs in my profession, just being the normal things that you know that you can find a job easily and live the same kind of life, like just to provide for your groceries, to your pay your rent, your travels, everything. But yes, you need to learn that your life is YOLO. You only live one. So that's it. That every job have the positives and negatives, and don't put too much season like we do, like a humans, like a girls. They tell you black, you already are thinking that black have white and maybe can be gray. So no, if it's black, and they don't put too much season in that things. This is one of the points, and the confidence in ourselves, because we are superpowers. Well, we speak two language, and Spanish is the most complicated language for learn for every person. So we need to be grateful that we speak Spanish, and now we are fluently, or try to be fluently, in English. And when we have mix of that in our head, is a good sign that, hey, you are doing something, girl. You have both language in your mind, so make proud of us about that.
Yeah, that's good, and you got a good point where you said that when someone rejects us, I feel that what happened to you, it's oh my God, like you had to go through all this skills assessment and everything because someone told you, and then they reject you after doing that. That's pretty rough. And I understand that at that time you might have thought that that was the end, but now that you got that skills assessment, and then you feel more confident and you learn more through that process, because I know that you learn a lot through that process. You got your new job and like a new opportunity, and that closed the door, but opened another one that it was more suitable for you. So yeah, I think we all have had rejections in our career, and then we believe, oh, this is the end, and then you realize that the next job is much better, and then you are grateful about that rejection. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And we are moving on to the last question. So and I think yeah, you got there, Kathy, a little bit of that piece of advice included. But yeah, let's start with Cami.
Yeah, so one of the advices I will give you is being fully informed about the course that you are enrolling in. Because the way they name it here sometimes is not equivalent to what it it is for us back in Latin America. So if like from my personal experience, I did my master's in here, Master of Architecture, and the time that I decided to do them, I didn't know that the Masters of Architecture are in here in Australia are the same as the last 2 years that we normally do in Latin America, when we do these 5 years bachelors. So by the time I realized, it was a bit late. Of course, there were so many positive things about it. I learned a lot as well, but if you want to go into something else, like for example, you want to learn about urbanism or you want to know about landscaping, yeah, I mean, the Masters of Architecture tends to be the same. So it's a bit of repetition of what we already did back in our countries. So yeah, I think be fully informed about what you want to study here in Australia, and understand what is the equivalent back in our countries, and also be confident that the studies that we bring from our countries are very good. Our background is very solid, and yeah, just be mindful that the skill set that we are bringing is very valuable.
Yeah, that's good to know, and it's a very important thing that a lot of us have got the advice of, oh yeah, if you want to get registered, go and study the Master of Architecture, and then we already have it. So the best path for that is just doing the skills assessment, which is a lot, but it's not as expensive as a master degree in architecture, and it gets us to the same spot. So I think that's a valuable advice, Cami. And as you said, there are other options to do master. So if someone wants to study something, if you want to study the Master of Architecture, it's up to you as well. Up to everyone. But yeah, there are other alternatives that can lead you like in more, because a master's, it should be like a more specialization of your knowledge. So you can go through sustainability or landscaping or something else. So yeah, and I believe, this is my personal opinion, that also doesn't change much in terms of positions and salary in Australia.
That's right.
So yeah, and the next one, Cynthia.
First, what I want to say is don't give up. The key of successful is the focus of the goals and not the obstacles. Be very confident about your knowledge. You have the knowledge already. If you have a background in your country, don't be shy to ask for help if you really need it. And I've been doing almost the same. Like I receive like a kind of suggestion from someone that, okay, if you really want to be in Australia and you really want to work as an architect, it's gonna be impossible. So don't believe that. You just have to be very confident in your knowledge. And if you really don't want to study other course just to have the time and everything, I did a diploma on civil engineer because they say, oh, it's cheaper, it's easier, this and that. And to be honest, if you really don't want to do this, don't do it. It can be wasting of time if you really don't want it because you have some of the knowledge. But if you want to be a little bit more focused on civil engineer or other things, do the specialization in other things, as I told you, like can be the diploma of civil engineer or as Danny say, landscape or something like that. But has my opinion, I don't recommend like go with something that maybe you don't like it.
So again, it will go like doing the research, maybe talking to people that already did that degree, also not trying to gather information of how is to work with that diploma or degree or whatever you're studying, because it is a lot of time, effort, and money that you're throwing to that. And yeah, we all know that many of us have to study things just to have better opportunities to find our path for a PR in the future. So sometimes you can enroll to a course and then feel stuck for 3 years because you enrolled to a course and it was not the right one. And maybe there are other things that are not specifically architecture, but can get you through the journey like a little bit happier, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, but as said as well, like everything has some value, but if you are gonna be do such a big investment, do a research with like real research, because sometimes if you go to the course and then they explain what it is, everything will sound really great. But I think the real experiences are more valuable in that case, and that's the reason why we are doing this as well. So they know from real experiences how is to work in the architecture and construction industry. So thank you for that, Cynthia. And we go now with Fef.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, my advice to everyone is like, even if you're studying this journey, or like you're in a job for a while, don't take things personally. So many things are like one rejection, one I don't know, if you take more time to find a job, don't take it personally. It's something that happens to everyone. So it's not because you are like your skills are poor, or like these things are for everyone. Even like, okay, we are in a position that we are not Australians, or and we will never be. Well, with the passport and everything, yes, but at the beginning you're never gonna be like 100% Australian. So don't feel that that's the way to go. And for them, it's also hard. So don't take it personally. Don't think that you are the worst, or like it's the end of the world. It's not. Like these kind of jobs are not for like extremely smart people. It's for normal people. And that's something that I learned in Arla, that people like me, that I'm not like the most intelligent person ever. I'm a normal person, and people around me are getting jobs. So like, don't think that it's something with you, something with everyone. So don't take it personally. And even like if you're working for a while, if you get something that you don't like, or something, don't take it personally. Like it's not with you. Something job related, it's not something that it's specifically with you.
Yeah, I think it is. It's hard coming like. I think our culture takes things like very personally, and also as a woman, I think it is also something that we carry a little bit, and also that a generalization that something like someone tells, I don't know, I was told once, your portfolio is not strong enough, and then I didn't want to show my portfolio to anyone. Exactly. Because it wasn't strong enough, and then you magnify that, you make it so big, and then you don't see anything else. So yeah, if someone rejected you, it's his opinion or her opinion. It's not everyone else's opinion, and I think that's a good thing to see. But it is hard.
It's hard from our culture, and because we are women, so it's something that you say, oh, this like it's just for me because I'm me, and no, it's not.
and I hope also these videos help. Part of the values of our life is inspiration. So that inspiration comes from what someone else did and how that person did it, and then you can see, okay, that person has the same skills, the same knowledge, the same background, what is your excuse now to not keep trying, you know? And sometimes we get frustrated with little things like all this Revit thing, for example. Oh, you don't have Revit experience, so then you can't get into the industry. That's another very common mistake, and I mean, generalization, I will say, that people say here. Yeah, it can increase your chances because obviously it's a very popular software, but the software doesn't make you as a professional. You know, you are not just a software operator. So I think
Software is a tool.
so learning how to show that to the person and say, oh, I can quickly learn this, but I bring all this value to your company. I think that's the difference. And something that I could hear from many of you is that, okay, you might get a chance as a intern or just trying a little bit, and then the companies realize, the bosses realize that we are valuable. So our background is very strong, is very solid, as Cami said. So I think people has to be confident that what we study and how we studied it, a bit not the kindest way that we were taught. Now it makes us like a very strong worker. Yeah, and I think we are very passionate. Also. I haven't seen one architect from Latin America that doesn't love being an architect. So I think we bring that passion. We bring that that is more just I don't know, any other career can be just I just do it because it's what brings me money. So yeah, I think that's a very good point. So yeah, let's continue with Mari.
So I think that my advice is to have the conviction that this is what you want, because for my personal experience, it was so hard to try to apply to many jobs and not even get an answer from anyone. That discourages me a lot. But the only thing that keep me like trying was like this dream that brought me here to Australia. So I think that if you are going to come or you are now here, like seriously, get that conviction that you can do it and this dream is going to be possible to you. So don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. That's a very powerful, especially when we have been rejected 100 times or ignored, ghosted. It's so hard, and especially when you are applying online. I think that's very common. But that's why I always encourage ALA members to go in person or calling or just looking direct to the offices, because all these platforms only advertise like 20 or 25% of job offers. So, and networking is a very powerful tool, and in your case was the way how you got your first job.
Yes, I think that it's so important to keep like coming to these meetings, because like Arla is not going to give you a job, but one of these girls can offer you a job if they know you and they know that you are trying to find a position, and they get to know you so well that they can recommend to the boss. So yeah, keep coming to the meetings, like get to know people, just like make friends. And also like, please, don't give up. Seriously, like even if you have your student visa, you can get a work. So for example, I have a student visa and I just work like part-time, and my boss is really happy. Like he said to me, like, we can adapt like our workflow to your availability. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, you see, like when they can see your value, they can adjust, and things here can be pretty flexible. And so yeah, we are the one stopping us ourselves from getting that first job, and also progressing in our career, because this is not just for that first job. I believe that this is also an advice of when you want to move from a role that it wasn't really what you wanted, but it was what you found. Also, if you are in a job that you like, but you want to progress in that career, and then you want to be, I don't know, supervising, or you want to be team leading, or even managing, I think this group is also helpful, because you can get other people. We have girls that have been here for 10 years, 15 years, and others that just arrived a few months ago. So I think that's a very valuable thing to have. And and listen to the ones who have been in this journey for longer, and I think that's a very good thing. And thank you that to let us know that we could we are not a job seek agency, but we still provide a place, a safe place where you can show your personality, where you can show your values, and someone else can see them, and then they can refer you. So I think that's very powerful. Thank you, Mari. So now we go with Kathy. What's your advice? Oh, well, you already gave one, but yeah, maybe you have another one.
Yes, confidence, and that's it. Don't give it up. Knock, knock every door that you can knock, knock. And the experience that we have, this group, that this community, because we are a community in all Australia, that is amazing, because we are in every state of Australia, so which is
we are
good.
missing Northern Territory, but we are getting there.
We need someone that move soon. So yes, the important thing is take all the tools that we can take, because the things stay in our hands. It's just looking for that, and we're gonna have it. Nothing is impossible. Everyone have the same value that us. And remember, we are not architect Australian, but we are architect Latino American, which is more than that. We are architect, and we have the degree, the master here for the studies that we do in our country. So this is more than that. That's it.
And the final one, Lily.
Well, there is nothing much less to say, but what I always tell the girls here in Adelaide is the same: don't give up. It goes in the same way of not giving up, being patient and consistent. Consistency, like apply as many jobs as you can, knock as many doors as you can, networking, go through all the possibilities, not just stick to sick or to send emails, or because yes, of 100 rejections or of 100 ghostings, you may have one application that is successful, that goes through, that gets an interview. You may not get the job, but you need to keep on going. And then be patient. You may listen to her experiences of people that arrived to Australia and got a job in 2 weeks, and that's amazing and that's great for them. But you also, maybe your experience will be different, and you may get the job in 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. You never know, and everyone's experience is different, and it's a successful experience anyway. So yeah, be patient. If it doesn't happen now, doesn't mean that it won't happen ever. So yeah, keep going. That's my advice.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what people say, it's like if someone says that you are not able to find a job because you're on a student visa, or because your English is not perfect, or because you're never going to find like a professional job, don't worry, don't give up. Like, we have examples here.
Tell them to sit down and watch us. Watch me doing it. Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I just hope that this video helps to anyone. Just if it helps one person, like to actually get encouraged there and try to find a job, that's enough.
Yeah, I know it's going to be more than one, and thank you to all of you for the time and for sharing your experiences. I know that it's also a challenge to be exposed in on the internet speaking English. Probably you won't like to listen this after because it's a bit of cringe, but you all did great. Thank you, and thank you for responding to these questions that were also picked from the questions that the ALA members were asking. I encourage everyone to visit our website. In our website, you can have the links to join and follow us in our social media platforms. We remind you that we have a Facebook group that is private, that's for women only. Same with our WhatsApp groups, they are women only, but everyone else is free and more than welcome to join us in our Facebook page, LinkedIn page, and Instagram account. And also, if you want to contact any of the members here, they happily agreed that you can send them a message on LinkedIn. So just go to the website, go to Meet the Team section, and then you can find their biographies, and also you can find their LinkedIn, so you can reach them if you are not, I don't know, looking for further advice. So yeah, it is it was a good experience. So thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.